All right, let me tell you something right now. What is happening behind the scenes of King Charles's upcoming trip to the United States is far more dramatic than anything the palace's press team wants you to know about. On the surface, this looks like a picture-perfect, history-making state visit, a British monarch traveling to Washington, D.C. to celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence, hosted by President Donald Trump at the White House. It sounds formal, sounds planned, sounds controlled. But underneath all of that royal pageantry, there is a deeply personal mission quietly unfolding, and insiders are saying it could completely rewrite the story of the entire trip. Sources are now confirming that King Charles and Prince Harry have been working through private backchannels, completely off the official record, to arrange a secret reunion on American soil. And here is where it gets wild. The proposed location is not Washington, D.C., it's New York City. Now you might be thinking, okay, they're going to meet, what's the big deal? The big deal is that pulling this off would require outsmarting an entire White House schedule, evading the world's press, managing a security operation involving multiple intelligence agencies, and somehow not letting Donald Trump turn the whole thing into a headline. So let's break down exactly what is happening, why it matters, and honestly, whether any of this is even logistically possible. First, let me explain why New York makes complete sense as the meeting point. Washington, D.C. during a state visit is basically a goldfish bowl. Every movement is tracked, every schedule is public, and the political optics are under a microscope. New York, on the other hand, offers something that is surprisingly rare for people at this level, a degree of anonymity. Billionaires and royals slip in and out of Manhattan hotels all the time without triggering a full-on media frenzy. It's the kind of city where even a king can be, temporarily at least, just another VIP in a motorcade. But the real reason Harry wants this to happen in New York, according to sources close to the situation, is that he plans to bring Archie and Lilibet. Let that sink in for a second. King Charles, a grandfather who has seen his California-based grandchildren an extraordinarily small number of times, could potentially have a genuine private family moment during what is officially a geopolitical diplomatic mission. That's not a PR play. That is a grandfather and a father trying to hold what's left of a fractured family. And I'll be real with you, as someone who follows this story closely, there is something genuinely moving about that, even if the circumstances surrounding it are complicated. Now here is where I have to pump the brakes, because the obstacles standing between this reunion and actually happening are enormous. The first and most obvious problem is the schedule itself. State visits are not casual trips. They are planned down to the literal minute. President Trump is hosting a major White House state banquet on April 28th, the kind of grand, ceremonial event that Trump genuinely loves. The military bands, the formal toasts, the historical weight of it all. When you're the guest of honor of the President of the United States, you do not quietly slip out for a 12-hour detour to Manhattan without someone noticing. That just does not happen. The second obstacle is even more complicated: security. Moving a sitting British monarch from Washington, D.C. to New York City mid-visit would require coordinating Secret Service, NYPD, MI6, and Royal Protection officers simultaneously. You cannot keep a motorcade of that scale secret. The moment those vehicles start rolling north on the highway, the press knows. News helicopters appear, social media lights up, and suddenly the entire narrative of this historic state visit, which was supposed to be about U.S.-UK relations, diplomacy, and celebrating 250 years of American independence, shifts entirely to Charles sneaks off to see Harry. That is not a story the palace wants anywhere near this trip. The third obstacle, and honestly the one I think gets underestimated, is the political optics of it all. The British government sent King Charles to Washington specifically to strengthen what is often called the special relationship between the UK and the United States. There have already been tensions between the two nations over foreign policy, and Charles is essentially being asked to be the ultimate peacemaker and charmer. If he diverts attention from President Trump to manage a private family situation involving a prince who very publicly walked away from royal duties, that is a diplomatic slight that palace advisors would be absolutely desperate to avoid. And speaking of people who are desperate, let's talk about Prince William, because William's reaction to all of this is a whole separate story. It is no secret that the Prince of Wales has strong feelings about Harry's continued ability to generate headlines that overshadow the working members of the royal family. William is currently holding things together back in the UK while his father travels. Now imagine the global headlines if photos emerge of Charles, Harry, Archie, and Lilibet in a New York hotel. That image would dominate every front page on Earth for days. It would completely eclipse the diplomatic substance of the state visit. Palace courtiers are reportedly alarmed by even the possibility of this, because their entire strategy for this trip is built around the 250th anniversary narrative, not family reconciliation drama. They want the world talking about transatlantic alliances, not tabloid reunions. So King Charles is sitting right in the middle of this impossible tension. On one side, a monarch bound by duty, protocol, and the eyes of an entire government watching his every move. On the other side, an aging father and grandfather who is running out of time and knows it. Here's my honest take on this whole situation. I think the reunion, if it happens at all, will be smaller and quieter than anyone is anticipating. The logistics of a full New York detour are almost certainly too complicated to pull off without it becoming public. But a brief private meeting in Washington, away from cameras, away from the official schedule, arranged through trusted intermediaries, that feels more plausible to me. Charles is not a man who makes emotional decisions recklessly, but he's also not someone who has stopped caring about his son. The last time we saw these two was September 2025, and nearly 7 months of silence is a long time for any family, let alone one that is already so publicly fractured. Whatever happens between April 27th and April 30th, I will be watching every development closely, because this state visit is shaping up to be one of the most layered, most personally complicated royal events in recent memory. The official story is about history and diplomacy, but the real story might just be about a father trying to find 5 quiet minutes with his son. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Charles will actually manage to see Harry and the grandchildren, or will the pressure of this state visit make it completely impossible? Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you catch every update as this story develops over the next few weeks, because trust me, this one is far from over.